What does it take to lose weight? Does it take a meal plan? Does it take working out every day? I think it takes a little bit of both, to be honest. But most importantly, it takes purpose. I personally lost 25 pounds, but it wasn't the first time I lost that weight. However, it was the first time I managed to keep it off. I want to share my personal story about how I managed to lose 25 pounds and keep it off after hitting an all-time high with my weight about a year and a half ago. Make sure you stay tuned till the end of the video because I'm going to be sharing the most helpful piece of advice that I've picked up over this past year and a half in order to help you in your fitness journey. So it all started about a year and a half ago around my 21st birthday. I started to look in the mirror and I realized that I was looking a little more plump, I was looking a little chubby, and so I started going to the gym. I was going to the gym maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but I hadn't changed my eating habits. So now I could say, oh, I'm going to the gym, and then use that as a reason to be eating poorly, continue eating these snacks and these chips and these cakes and whatever else you could think about. Like, my diet still was really bad. But when I hit my 21st birthday, I realized that I didn't look any different, but I thought I was putting in more work. Eventually, as a 21-year-old, you have to go to the doctor at some point. So shortly after my 21st birthday, I went to the doctor's office and they weighed me, and boom, there it was. I'm 5'3" and I weigh 172 pounds. And at the time I was dating this one guy and he was weighing about the same, maybe 175. That was such a big wake up call to me because he was 5'10", weighing around 175, and I'm 5'3", weighing 172. Obviously there's something wrong with that image. But they had also run a blood panel on me, and that's when it came back that I was actually pre-diabetic as well. So even though I could say, oh, I'm working out, it didn't change my lifestyle. It didn't change my level of fitness or health. It was just, oh, I go to the gym 3-4 times a week and I lift weights. It wasn't actually beneficial for me. And so when I saw those test results and I realized, okay, I'm definitely overweight, I'm pre-diabetic, I need to make a change, that's when I really went full out. I started going to the gym 6 days a week, early in the morning before work. My work would start at 8 a.m. So I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, be at the gym by 6, work out until 7, and then from 7 till 7:30 I'd shower, get dressed, and then drive over to work. And that was the first major difference I made, but I also realized that if I wanted to make a lasting change and actually see any sort of progress, I needed to change the way I eat too. Because constantly I was hearing it, but I didn't want to actually listen to it or give it any truth. But 70% of any sort of weight loss battle is going to be your diet. And so that's when I decided, okay, I need to find a way to make this sustainable, because in the past, I had tried the keto diet, I tried the carnivore diet, I was going vegetarian. And I noticed as soon as I stopped doing these diets because I lost the weight I wanted to lose, my weight would go back. And so I realized I needed to make a change that was going to fit my lifestyle so I could sustain it and therefore keep that weight off. That's when I started making a change in my diet. I would replace those chips with something like cherry tomatoes or cucumbers, maybe even carrots. In general, just healthier options to replace those chips. And then within the first 2 months, I realized I had lost 15 pounds. And the way that I felt when I saw that number on the scale drop, I was just so excited. So yes, I will say a disclaimer, that was too fast. You shouldn't be losing weight that fast because the chances of you actually hurting yourself in the long run is higher. Typically, you want to lose maybe 5 to 6 pounds a month. I would say that's typically what doctors recommend. That's just the rate at which I was losing the weight. And normally I'd be a little more concerned about it, but I did manage to keep it off. So just a little disclaimer on that. And so the weight was dropping, and I noticed that with this new diet and then this new motivation to continue going to the gym, I was doing better. But there were other things in my life that I realized I needed to change as well, because yes, I was feeling a lot better that I was doing this and I was eating better, but I had also started following an intermittent fasting schedule where you just alter the hours in which you eat. I didn't eat after 7 p.m., but there were people in my life who didn't necessarily support my choice to change the way I ate, even though it made me feel better and I was looking better. I was just overall feeling like a better person. I was more confident. They weren't supportive of it, so it eventually came to the point where I did have to make the choice to cut them out of my life. And at this point, for multiple reasons, but this being one of them, my ex-boyfriend was not supportive of my intermittent fasting choices. He would invite me over to have dinner with his family, and they would be having dinner at 7:30 or 8, and him, knowing that I didn't eat after 7 p.m., would still invite me over to dinner and ask me to come, and I would just have to sit there with a bottle of water to watch, as opposed to maybe the 1 time or 2 times a month that I would go over for dinner, them having an early dinner, he decided to continue having it that way and kind of make it difficult for me because, you're presenting me with this temptation. So while I did lose all of that weight pretty quickly in the first 2 months, I would say that it wasn't completely easy because it was about changing my lifestyle to the point where I could sustain it, but it was still a change nonetheless. And it was about building a habit of going to the gym more regularly with much more conviction and dedication, because instead of going to the gym when I had time, I was dedicating a portion of my day every day, or at least 6 days a week, to wake up early and go to the gym. I was waking up at 5:30 when the rest of my family would be sleeping in until 6 or 7. I would be waking up at 5:30 in the morning when the rest of my family would be waking up at 7 a.m. And usually I'd be out of the door and gone before they woke up, and by the time I got back in the evening, we'd only spend 1 or 2 hours together before going back to bed and repeating it again. So definitely there were some hardships along the way. And again, with intermittent fasting, I wouldn't eat after 7 p.m. and I never made any sort of exception for this because I wanted to see that progress. So it was a little more difficult when we would go out to family dinners because we would have to make the reservations for earlier at 5:30 p.m. instead of 6, just so we had that half-hour buffer so I could try and finish my meal before 7 would hit the clock. But it was along this point, after losing this weight and then I had cut things off with my ex, that I started to really fall in love with fitness. Not only did I find joy and happiness in what I was doing, but I felt very confident. I liked looking at myself in the mirror, and my quality of life was just elevated. And now, after a year and a half, almost 2 years of hard work, I can say that I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I've lost that weight. I'm no longer 172. Instead, I'm weighing 147. And now I have a new goal of trying to get down to 140. And I've set new goals for myself. I'm at a different point in my life, and I was able to elevate that quality of life by making these changes. I didn't feel like that awkward girl in the corner of the room who felt too shy about her weight, who felt overweight, who didn't feel like they were worthy of attention or affection from other people. And all of this just goes to say that there are key things that I learned along my fitness journey that I want to share with everybody else, because I think with these key mindset differences, you're able to make such a big difference on your life and your ability to continue with your fitness journey, because it's easy to lose motivation. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The first thing I wanted to give in terms of advice to you would be purpose. You want to lock that down. So many people, when I talk to them, they ask me, how do you find the motivation to go to the gym? Don't you get tired of it? And I don't want to sugarcoat anything, because in the beginning it can be difficult. When you don't want to go to the gym and you're just lacking that motivation, you're sitting in your pajamas in front of the TV, you're not going to go. So the best thing to do, in all honesty, pardon my language, but it's to kind of fuck your feelings. It isn't about finding the motivation, it's about building a habit. You want to create something that is consistent and sustainable in your lifestyle. And so if in the beginning you're finding it difficult, where you're saying, okay, fuck my feelings, it's time to go to the gym because this is the time of the day that I slotted to go to the gym and make myself a better person, to work on myself, you have to commit to that. And so when I was able to commit to waking up at 5:30 in the morning and go to the gym, it then became a habit, and eventually it became so routine for me. It became so ingrained in part of my day that when I don't go to the gym, I feel like I'm missing something. Another key point that I wanted to put under this when you're going to look for a purpose is to not just go to the gym and eat better for the sake of losing weight. You're going to lose motivation that way. What I want you to kind of think about and shift your mindset to is not necessarily losing weight, but aim to have a healthier life. When you're living healthier, you're working out and you're eating better, losing that weight and getting down to a healthy weight is just a consequence of this change. And number 2, I want you to set a specific goal. It's easy to say, okay, my goal is to lose weight, but make it specific. If you weigh 170 like I did and your goal is to lose maybe 20 pounds, okay, from 170, when I get down to 150, make that your goal. I want to lose 20 pounds. By the end of this year, I want to weigh 150 pounds. Then that's what you're able to go for, because now you have numbers and you have a way to track your progress, as opposed to saying, oh, I lost this much weight, but I gained it back. As humans, that's just the way our bodies work. That way, when you hit your previous goal, my goal was to lose 20 pounds. I went from 172 and now I weigh about 147. I managed to lose those 25 pounds. Now my new goal is I want to do a pull-up. Okay, 1 pull-up by the end of this month, and I'm already almost there. Then my second goal that I have for myself is I want to run a marathon. And I've gotten into running just recently. It's been about 3 or 4 months, and I've already signed my name up for a marathon in May. That gives me a set amount of time in which I'm going to train my body to push its limits and be able to run these 26 miles. Setting goals for yourself is a way to hold yourself accountable. Number 3, I know that you can be shy, but don't be afraid to ask for help. By being embarrassed or feeling shy for 2 or 3 minutes to ask someone else in the gym, hey, do you think my form doing this movement is correct? Or, hey, I'm not sure if this workout is really targeting what I want to do. Do you have any suggestions for me? Those 2 or 3 minutes that you spend feeling shy or embarrassed is better than spending the next 2 or 3 months doing something incorrectly and end up hurting yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because as someone who frequents the gym regularly, I love it when I get questions. If they ask me for help on something, I don't mind. And honestly, it makes me feel like, okay, I managed to help someone else out. So don't be afraid of embarrassing yourself or being shy. Honestly, I think everyone would just prefer if you ask for help. We all want to help you out. And then finally, I think this one might be the biggest shocker. It's number 4. You don't need to follow a specific diet plan. I mentioned earlier that in the past, I had tried different ways to lose weight, and I would lose the weight, but I never managed to keep it off. That's because I tried doing things like the keto diet, the carnivore diet, vegetarian diet, and I didn't want to hold those things as my permanent lifestyle change because, I did want to enjoy having potatoes, or I wanted to enjoy having my salads. I do like having salads, so the carnivore diet didn't necessarily work out for me. And then vegetarian, I also like my steaks. So I realized I needed a more well-rounded diet. Following these things for a short period of time is just going to cause me to yo-yo, which is to lose the weight, gain it back, feel depressed about myself, and then go back to the gym and start these diets again, and then lose that weight, but then gain it back. When you're able to look at your lifestyle and the way that you eat and alter that and make it a sustainable change, that's how you're going to see the key progress. Let's say you're a really big fan of ice cream, but you don't want to necessarily lose that kind of snack for you during the day. My recommendation then would be to make nice milkshakes or smoothies for yourself at home using ingredients like strawberries, bananas, milk. These whole food ingredients are going to be the best way for you to cut out that unnecessary sugar. In all honesty, losing weight isn't a race, and you shouldn't force yourself to try to do it within a 2 to 3 month period, because even though I've been working out for a year and a half, there are still things I want to work on. That's why it's called a fitness journey. It's not a fitness race, and it's not about a set period of time. It's a journey, and it's about the progress and steps that you take in order to reach your goal. I want to be able to support everyone in their fitness journey and share my personal experience with my continuous journey that I'm still on right now. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and leave a comment about how long you've been on your fitness journey. See you soon.